It's Wednesday here on the Desmond Johnson Show, so you know what that means. It's high school football Wednesday. Got my man Marc Pruitt in the house from the Winston-Salem Journal. We're going to chop it up. We were both at the East Forsyth Grimsley scrimmage on Monday out in Cape Vegas. We'll talk about what we saw, some pullaways from there. Got some special guests coming in from West Forsyth. Head football coach Kevin Wallace will stop by here at about 12:40, and from Mount Tabor, Spartans head football coach Tieshaun Brown is going to stop by here too. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. Let's go. Whoops, did the wrong thing. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. Let's hit it.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city need that. I've been #1, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you want and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's 4th and inches, I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Welcome into Wednesday's edition of the Desmond Johnson Show. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson. With me on Wednesdays during high school football season, Winston-Salem Journal beat writer Marc Pruitt joining us here for all the fun. Before we get to some of our guests from earlier or from later on today, West Forsyth head football coach Kevin Wallace in the house will be in just a bit. Mount Tabor head football coach Tieshaun Brown will be right after him. Marc, we were out in Cape Vegas on Monday watching the East Forsyth Grimsley scrimmage. And we got a chance to get on the field and kind of see stuff up close. Give me some takeaways that you had from watching, which potentially might be a clash between two of the top teams in the 4A West, which again is loaded. We got two of those teams, head coaches coming up here in just a bit. Give me some takeaways that you had from watching Grimsley and East Forsyth on Monday.
My first takeaway is, why can't these two teams play each other in the regular season anymore?
I don't know.
Goodness, they're just the talent that's come through both of those schools, East the last dozen years or so, especially, and Grimsley the last 5, 6, 7 years. Just so many great players. Saw a lot of big kids out there when I got down on the field level. I'd gone to see East, I think, a week before that practice, and Coach Willard and I were talking about mainly, I think, the offensive line for them, how much that's going to be a key this year, and how big those guys are, and that they go 8 deep on the offensive line. And there's some big young men on that team, and that should provide lots of running lanes and passing lanes for that offense, which I expect is going to be pretty high octane again this season. So I guess talking to Coach Willard afterwards, I think his biggest disappointments were a couple of fumbles around the goal line in scrimmage situation, and a couple of sure drop touchdown passes for wide open receivers. I think those were his biggest frustrations. Otherwise, I thought they looked pretty good. They were clicking. Grimsley, I mean, Bryce Davis looked really good.
He looked really good. Yeah.
Mitchell Summers, the running back, looked really, really good. Had a couple of nice long bursts that he scored on. My interesting take with Grimsley is their passing game. Does it take a step back with losing those two guys that they had last year that are now at UNC and NC State? So
Right.
Two good teams, though, and I think East is going to Reedsville tonight for scrimmages.
I think it's Friday.
Friday.
I was talking to the coaches after the scrimmage. They're going out to Reedsville for that. I agree with what you're saying. With the, I went out to minicamp for East, and then I went out to a practice a day or two before you did. Was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week. Me and Rod went out there, and the one thing I took away from him was the size of the offensive line. That was the number one thing that stood out to me. I was like, this is a massive offensive line. That honestly I haven't seen at East since I've been back with them. Even their state championship teams didn't have lines as big. They're just really large boys. And then I think during the scrimmage, Jalen Moore, the running back that transferred over from Reagan, he had some flashes. He seems like he's going to be that guy that gives them a burst they haven't really had the past couple of years. Probably not since like, I don't know, Amani Marshall, maybe. Somebody that can be like a lead back. He kind of looked like that to me. With Grimsley, yeah, Bryce Davis shone out really good for me. And then and watching Faison, I did see there were some times like on short passes a little late here and there, that kind of thing. But I think it was more getting acclimated to new receivers more than anything else. I don't think it's an indictment on the number one rated quarterback in the in the country for 2026. So
obviously that talent's there, but I think, like you said, it's going to be him kind of adjusting or them adjusting to having a new receiving core, pretty much, and how quickly they can adapt to that. Because week one they got a tough opponent in Mount Tabor. I know we'll talk to Coach.
Yeah, we'll talk to Ty about that in just a bit. Yeah, they're opening up huge. Grimsley's opening gauntlet might be one of the toughest in the state. They take on Mount Tabor week one. They go on the road, take on Rollsville, who's ranked number one in the East, if I'm not mistaken. Then they're back for week three and taking on Reagan, who's given them problems the past 3-4 years we've covered that game. It feels like the game's always been tight. So Grimsley's got a little gauntlet here the first 3 weeks of the season. Meanwhile, East Forsyth hosts Heritage. They host Jack Britt week 2, and then we'll be up in the mountains in Nashville for AC Reynolds. And all those schedules are available on Tobacco Road's social media. We have the WCOG game of the week, which is the Guilford County game of the week. And we also have the WTOB game of the week, which is the Forsyth County game of the week. And that opening weekend, it's East Forsyth versus Heritage and Grimsley taking on Mount Tabor. So we'll have other games as well on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. I believe we've got 4 that night. I believe week 3, we've got 5 that'll be live simultaneously at the same time. I had Coach Wallace in the green room. Oh, okay. I think you got a phone call. He's coming back in. So we'll bring Coach Wallace here in just a bit. Special announcement regarding that. If you've been following our social media, the West Forsyth Coaches Show that Marc's been a part of the past couple of years, hosted by JP Mundy, Titans Talk out in Clemens. It had been at Mossy's Eats, Ales, and Spirits, and we loved being at Mossy's, but last year we kind of outgrew the patio. So we have moved. We have moved around the corner to Playground. And I don't think we're going to outgrow this place because it's like 11,000 square feet. The Wake Forest Coaches Shows are there. We're on a new night on Monday nights, starting this upcoming Monday at 7:30 live at Playground Golf and Sports Bar in Clemens. I believe it's 6355 Jesse Lane in Clemens. Come out, show your support for the Titans. JP Mundy will be hosting. I'll be on the wheels still producing. I believe Marc's going to be in the house. I think you said you bring your daughter through there as well. She kind of became a part of the show last year. JP is very interactive with the whole crowd. So definitely come up there and check us out when you get a chance. Looks like Coach Wallace is having some connection issues in the back. So while he's getting that situated, We'll wait and see for him to get through. Derek Pauly in the comment section. You guys can participate in these shows when we're on live, whether it's Facebook Watch or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio, and ask us or these coaches or our players questions. Derek's asking, I'm not from the area, but what would be a game I should try to attend from your alma mater this year, Desmond?
Tabor.
Yeah, probably East Forsyth Tabor that they're hosting. They're hosting West Forsyth at the end of the year too, the season finale, and that'll be a huge one. It usually is. Last year it was for the conference championship.
Reagan this year, or do you remember
at Reagan? I hope we're at Reagan because their press box is fantastic.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, I found out. The worst thing I found out during the East Forsyth scrimmage is that we're not going to have food in the press box this year. Like,
what?
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not going to really have food in the press box this year. We're going to work it out. We're going to try to figure it out. Maybe get, I don't know, maybe Sabrina at Taste of the Triad or somebody to hook us up or something. But as it stands right now, I don't think there's going to be food in the press box at East. So I'm hoping we'll be out at Reagan. But joining us here on the show is West Forsyth head football coach Kevin Wallace. Mr. Wallace, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
How's everyone doing?
Is it planning period time for you?
I think it's planning period time.
No, we got one class, but as everyone knows, the internet is fantastic.
So we just made the announcement before you got back on that we have moved from Mossy's. Titans Talk actually moved its day as well. So Titans Talk is now Monday evening, 7:30 p.m. live out in Clemens at Playground Golf and Sports Bar, which, to be honest, I went there yesterday to talk to them a little bit more and just to kind of get a feel for the stage and everything. It may be the largest bar area in the triad. It's like 11,000 square feet. So
it's huge.
it's massive. And I'm hoping that I've already seen some people from the West Forsyth Booster Club kind of push the message out there that, hey, we're a playground. I see some coaches excited, parents as well. So we're hoping for a pretty big turnout. Tell us what you're doing, Coach Wallace, to get ready, because if I'm not mistaken, you guys are taking on AC Reynolds week 1.
Yeah, so we go out there to Astro AC Reynolds next Friday. Quite a haul, but it's a game they've played here at West for a while. Good team, good running back, quarterback transferred in. Close game last year, so I know they're going to be hungry to get one back apparently. So we're just right now we're trying to finish up. We got scrimmage this week and trying to finish up kind of our camp schedule, quote unquote. But we're starting a little stuff that we can do off of last year's game right now, coaching wise, to get ready for AC Reynolds.
Who's a player that you've got right now that maybe you, I don't want to say low expectations for, but maybe didn't expect them to flash as much as maybe they have here in the preseason, that might be a big part of your team that maybe you weren't dependent on going into the season?
Oh, that's a great question. Someone that everyone's known about, though, last year played for us, Terrell Page, but I think he's going to be more versatile. He'll be able to do some stuff in the backfield, some stuff at receiver. So that's going to be a big positive for us. Defensively, we return a bunch on the D-line. And in the secondary, most people know who we have. But I guess the one that's kind of overshadowing that group a little bit is Brody White, who smart kid, physical player for us, played a little bit last year. In his starting role right now, and we'll probably be moving him around because he's so good for us.
What'd you guys take away from your scrimmage on Saturday against Northern and your good buddy, Coach Westberg?
We needed to play to a higher level. It's kind of 2 weeks into camp, and it gets tiring a little bit, and it was a long day, and every coach that ever talks about it was our picture day in the morning, and that everyone loves so much. Once I think we calmed down and we caught our breath a little bit, I think we played okay. We got to execute better. I think we got to do a better job stopping the run defensively, and I think offensively we had some missed plays out there, some missed explosive plays, of just fundamentals, securing wide open catches, RPOs, throws or quarterback pulls, stuff like that. Just stuff we got on film that we can see and clean up now, hopefully.
Is there you got a quarterback competition going on out in Clemens right now? Because I know you like to sling it around the field. Who's taking the lead at QB out in Clemens right now?
Riley Horton and Jarrell Crawford kind of competing for that spot right now. Both do good things for us, and we're kind of coming down to, I was hoping to be able to pick one before this scrimmage, but I think both have done a great job and helping each other out and holding each other accountable to right now. So we'll probably we'll have a decision after this scrimmage coming up.
Riley transferred from Parkland, didn't he?
Correct.
Okay, because that name sounds familiar from when they played it. We did the East Forsyth Parkland broadcast last year, and I had noticed that there was a little bit of a jump at quarterback for them. They looked a little bit more polished than previous years. So him coming through is pretty huge. And then speaking of huge, the one thing I think the schools Forsyth County kind of attribute to West Forsyth, that no matter what, they're going to have a big offensive line. It's going to be a large offensive line with a couple of D1 kids on there. Tell us a little bit. Offensive line, is it pretty much typical Clemens, West Forsyth big boys?
We got 3 kids right now with Division I offers on that line. I think we'll have 4 end up being Division I on some level. We returned the 4, PJ Dean, Keith Foster, AJ McLeod, and Jalen Moore, and Jalen's got multiple offers. Keith, 2026 with an offer. Everyone knows PJ. AJ, I think, will end up being a Division I kid, just coming through in the future. But, PJ, Keith, and AJ are all juniors, 2026s, and then Jalen's a senior. And then we're just working that 5th spot's been one that we've been really toying with right now. We have about 2 or 3 kids really competing for that spot. And that's been a good thing, I think, for us during camp, is we've had competition at spots to make everyone better. It's not just, all right, well, these are the bottom two, and we got to pick one. Now we have some talented kids that are really trying to compete between some young guys trying to get up on varsity, maybe some sophomores and stuff like that, and some upperclassmen that are trying to win the spot that weren't starters last year.
The one thing that I like the most, Mark, about this, especially the CPC, we had always called the CPC the SEC West pretty much, because it's so loaded really from top to bottom. Like there's not really an easy game in the CPC, up and down each week. Anybody can get got, and I love this year where, of course, you got East Forsyth, West Forsyth. You guys won 8+ games last year. Mount Tabor's on the come up. They finished the season strong last year. They got D1 kids all over the place. Davy's going to throw the ball over the place. Like they've got, and I've heard that they've got a better defense this year as well. So we may not be having those 42-38 shootouts that we normally get when we see a Davie County team. So, which is unique. Glenn's got a brand new head coach. Like there's so much stuff going on in the division. I'm just excited for the year to begin. Real quick before we get you out of here, Coach Wallace, any words that you want to give to the Village of Clemens regarding the 2024 West Forsyth Titans as you enter your second season?
We'll be out here first home game, Oak Grove. And I know we'll have a big back end. Kids being back in school earlier is going to make the first game a lot more crowded. So we're ready. We're ready for the season to start. Also, it's been a long all season, long mini camp, all that stuff. So we're ready to just get going, play somebody else, and not just ourselves anymore.
Yeah, for real. I'm tired of seeing the same jerseys run into each other. So can't wait to get started. We're going on a little over a week away now. That's West Forsyth head coach Kevin Wallace. If you want to come check out the Titans, you can come check us out Monday night, August the 19th, I believe it is. 7:30 p.m. live at Playground Golf and Sports Bar in Clemens. We'll be open the stage. JP Mundy will be hosting. Hopefully he will not burn the building down. Marc Pruitt will be in the house. I'll be there. Coach Wallace will be there. The coach and staff and everybody else that made Titans Talk so much fun last year. We will talk here very soon, Coach Wallace, and good luck on everything, and I will see you Monday.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Take care.
And there he goes. That's Kevin Wallace from the West Forsyth Titans. And coming in right behind him is the head coach of the Mount Tabor Spartans, Tieshaun Brown. Coach Brown, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Hey, thank you for having me, guys.
So there's been a lot of buzz around the Spartans going into this upcoming season. You guys started out a little slow last year, picked it up, got on a win streak, got to the playoffs, won a playoff game. If I'm not mistaken, you beat Davie, if I'm not mistaken, in the playoffs. Tell me how it's felt going into this season, knowing that you had those building blocks in place last year and maybe can kind of see the growth of your team, and give us an idea of where you are right now.
Yeah, we actually won 2 playoff games last year.
2 playoff games.
Standing.
Yeah, it's 2.
Yeah, we won 2. We won 2 playoff games. We just took that momentum into the offseason. I felt like we had a really good weight room session in the wintertime, and our spring football was really good. And our kids are really anxious to hit another color jersey. Today we having our first scrimmage, and yesterday's practice, you just see it all over their face. They ready. They and just like the West coach said, we actually kind of tired. With the way the school year and everything started, it's still made for like a longer preseason and off season stuff. So they ready to get going.
Do you think that's go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, I think we talked about this during the summer. Does this team, especially like the defense, remind you of 2021 at all, with some of the personnel and all the key positions you've got coming back and a lot of experience that's returning?
Yeah, we have a lot of 3-year starters on this defense, but that 21 that team was very special, man. And this team is very talented. They got a little ways to go to be that group, but I like where we are. I see a lot more tonight. We got a very experienced football team coming back. We got a lot of 3-year starters on this team, offense and defensively, and we're ready to put it all together. One thing about this senior class, they haven't won a conference championship, and that's one of our first goals.
Joining us, Mount Tabor Spartans head coach Tieshaun Brown. You're watching the Desmond Johnson Show, brought to you by Emergency Responders Credit Union. I have to apologize. There's all kinds of nonsense going on outside of my house right now. There's roofers out there, and something else is going on. So if you're hearing outside noise, that's on me. Coach Brown, I saw you at the Grimsley East Forsyth scrimmage on Monday. We got a chance to talk a little bit out there, of course, doing a little recon because you guys got the Whirlies week 1. And possibly one of the biggest games in the state for a week 1 matchup because you guys are coming in, a lot of eyeballs on you guys, and of course Grimsley, they haven't lost a Metro 4A game I think since 2019 if I'm not mistaken, Marc. So they kind of run their conference, but when they come out of conference they kind of dip in the CPC a little bit because they're going to play Reagan week 3 as well. So thoughts on Grimsley, what you saw from them when you were out there scrimmage, and I assume I've covered Mount Tabor football now 5-6 years while you've been there. I kind of have a general idea of what y'all are going to try to do in that game, and I feel very confident that you'll be able to achieve a lot of that stuff with the personnel and the schemes you guys run. Give me your thoughts on Grimsley and what you're seeing, and thoughts on Faison Brandon and having to defend that kid.
Well, the first thing, man, those guys, that coaching staff has had a run these last 5 years. They put up a lot of wins. Going into the game, man, we're the underdogs. We're going on the road to the Whirlies. It's going to be a lot of star power on that football field that night. They have the quarterback, but it's really about that running back and that big offensive line. So when I went over to East Forsyth and watched them, the first thing you notice is how big they are. And, so we have to get our kids prepared to play a bigger opponent. But at the same time, Mount Tabor plays in big games all the time, and it's nothing different. I like to open up with big-time football games like this, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to show the area and the state what Mount Tabor's made of week 1.
You're absolutely right that you guys do like to start off big. If I'm not mistaken, before you had this back and forth with Grimsley, you guys were playing Richmond County, I think, the past couple of years, which is I just came through there on the way to the beach, and I know that down there it's just football. There's none but football down there. They are about their business. So, shout out for that. I love the fact that the CPC, especially week 3, it feels like, everyone goes out and finds somebody, like, across the state to play almost as a measuring stick before you get into conference play because, like I was just saying to Coach Wallace, once you get into CPC play, it can be anybody. Anybody can get got. Like, it doesn't matter what team it is. There's really no team that's just a pushover anymore in the conference. Talk to me a little bit about the CPC and how you view it compared to other conferences in 4A. And do you feel like it's the toughest conference in 4A West?
Absolutely, man. Every week you got to come play. Last year was unfortunate. We lost to RJ Reynolds. We lost 3 games in a row by 1 point. And if you really look at it, we was 3 points away from being either tied for the conference or the winners conference. So it's an extremely tough conference, well coached. But the thing about the CPC, I always tell people, it's not good teams, it's good programs. And Kevin Wallace coming into West Forsyth, and Derek Sharp over there at Parkland just made the conference a lot tougher. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, but the new guy RJ Reynolds. So we got good coaches.
Joe Davidiak.
Yeah, Joe Davidiak. And the guy at Glenn High School. So, it just made the conference even tougher, man. And, we're looking forward to it. And like I said, that's one of our goals. And, in the CPC, you gotta try to be in the top while you can get those Charlotte teams down here instead of having to go to Charlotte.
You hit the nail on the head there. Marc, you got anything for Marc, you got anything for Coach Brown?
Coach, I know a lot of the struggles, I guess, last season were injury related. You really had some big injuries coming off of those first couple of losses in the league before you beat Davie to kind of get the ship righted. Tell me about those guys that are coming back from injury, like Matthias this year, and how they've been looking so far this summer and in camp.
Oh, Matthias Banks is hungry. He feel like he got cheated from last year, and I tell him, man, that was just God's way, setting you up for something greater. And he's committed to Princeton this year, and so he's got that recruiting process behind him, and he's been looking really good. He made a couple plays yesterday that I was very shocked to see him make. He's got more athletic, more explosive, just like a lot of the guys. Those guys are ready. We have Randleman tonight, and they could be in trouble tonight. These guys are ready to play, man. They're really hungry right now.
Are you at home, or are you going down to Randleman?
We're going to High Point.
Okay. I might stroll through and see what's going on over there. I'm just excited, man. Like this, I love the fact that even the schools at Tobacco Road we don't currently have a network with. And Coach Brown, I'm working on Mount Tabor. Trust, I'm working on Mount Tabor. I've been speaking to your new AD, and hopefully we'll have some stuff put together here soon. But I love the fact that even the ones we don't normally work with, I see you all the time. You know, we're in and out of Mount Tabor doing football and basketball games or whatnot, and same with West and Coach Wallace. The fact that we're able to come in and expose your kids is our main focus, is to be able to get them behind microphones, to be able to spotlight their talents, because as we all know, everything kind of shrank in terms of coverage in the area, and we're trying to fill that hole. And shout out to places like Mount Tabor, who always give us accessibility to their players, to their coaches and staff, and we feel like it's beneficial for both sides. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in action. I feel like the CPC is always better when East, West, and Tabor are good. Like when all three are good, and it's just like back and forth between them all. It raises the water level of the whole conference to me. Like everybody's got to step up. And you mentioned Coach Davidiak out at Reynolds. Keep an eye on Reynolds, man. That dude's like 25 years old, but he's running this Reynolds program, and I'm seeing them make some gradual improvements. Same with Sharp out at Parkland. They're dormant. They've been a dormant program now for a while now. But if you grew up in this area, especially early 2000s, Parkland was that spot. Like, you know, in terms of like high school football, like they were filling up Bowman Gray. Like, I mean, there's so much talent in this area. I'll leave it with that. How do you feel? Because I know right now you got, you know, Jadon Blair, you got Snoop Peterkin on your roster, and you constantly will have a couple of D1 kids come through your program. Feels like every single year. Talk to me about the level of talent in the Triad as opposed to, say, Raleigh or Charlotte or some of these other places. Do you feel like it's underrated to a certain extent based off of what we're seeing in terms of, you know, Faison and Grimsley being the number 1 rated quarterback of 2026? We just saw Dre Harrison transfer to Providence Day out of Reedsville. He's like the number 1 tight end in his, I think it's 26 too. I think he's number 3 overall or something like that. And they were both in the same area code that we all live in. Talk to me about coaching in the area code, getting kids to your school, and having to coach against those kids at these other schools.
Yeah, we've been blessed here at Mount Tabor, man, to keep athletes coming. I would say this 25 class in the 336 area has been it's a very good class, top to bottom. You know, coaching against these guys, like, that's why I signed up to coach. I don't want to go out and play teams that I know I'm gonna win against. I want a challenge, and I coach my kids to have that same type of mindset. We want to go play the best, because you can't be the best until you beat the best. And you know, that's our mindset here at Mount Tabor. And I really appreciate y'all covering us. Y'all do a great job, and you know, highlighting our kids. And in our area, it's kind of tough in Forsyth County, because you have to do so much to keep your kids, and you got to sell your program, so you got to do things the right way. So, you know, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but I'm always up for the challenge, man. I love this. I love my job. I love what I do. I love football. And, you know, we're going to keep it coming every year, man. I'm going to put some type of product out there that's going to be competitive.
Mark, you got anything else for Coach Brown before we get him out of here?
No, sir. I'll see you Friday.
So they got that scrimmage coming up. They're going down to High Point. They're going to scrimmage. And then, of course, again, on WCOG, 1320 AM and 105.3 FM in Guilford County. It's the WCOG High School Football Game of the Week, Week 1, Grimsley, Mount Tabor. If you don't live in Guilford County, don't worry. You can get it on your phone or your laptop, your tablet, whatever. Just go to tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. That game will be streaming live there. The WTOB Game of the Week, Week 1, is East Forsyth hosting Heritage. You can hear that game online as well. I think the Southwest game is on there. And I believe Glenn is opening up against Ledford. So that'll also be actually, matter of fact, I take that back. Glenn Ledford's the WTOB game of the week. You can hear the East game online. Glenn and Ledford will be there with Glenn's brand new head coach, Tommy Green. So we got wide selection of games for you. Again, there's some weeks we've got 5 games live going on at the same time. Tabor's on our schedule, I think 4 or 5 times across both channels in Greensboro and in Winston-Salem. So just definitely check us out. All of this made possible by the Emergency Responders Credit Union out in Winston-Salem. If you are a first responder, definitely check them out for all of your banking needs. We are going to get out of here so Coach Brown can get back to getting these guys ready to rock and roll. The CPC is going to be rolling. Me and Marc will be back next Wednesday with some more interviews from around the area. And we'll be actually in the middle of Week 1, preparation for Week 1 when we get back in Wednesday. So definitely check us out then. For Marc Pruitt, I'm Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the Desmond Johnson Show, Wednesday edition. Check us out Friday, myself, former NFL safety George Teague, and more, chopping up some NFL and Carolina Panthers talk. So we'll be back on Friday.